Today we have another special guest. He is an IPS officer of 2021 batch. His name is Sirivennela. Shed the light on your name. It looks name of a girl.
To be honest, it is. My name means moonlight. I was born in a small village called Kestur, the district of Mandya. I am a little old-fashioned. I would consider myself as a villager in a urban attire.
Acha. Are you always like this or?
Generally, I am like this. This preparation is very, very taxing. No escaping from this. But the difference between those who clear and those who don't is those who handle this level.
Students who are addicted to Netflix, their relationship issues and everything. For these people, what do you want to tell?
So addiction is a very dangerous thing. Know that your addictions will definitely harm you in the future.
So now you are not IAS, you are IPS.
Yes,
So
I'm even happier, to be honest. And also that charm of uniform, that
I must appreciate your honesty, not hesitant about. So it was great having you here.
it was great for me too. Thank you so much.
See you again. Hello everyone, a warm welcome to another episode of A Little More Light. Today we have another special guest. His name is Sirivennela. He is an IPS officer of 2021 batch. Prior to that, he served in Indian Defence Account Service for 4 years. And in his fourth attempt, he cracked the exam and he has got IPS. Currently, he is on medical leave due to a small unfortunate event in the training. So, which we will be talking about in the course of the podcast. Welcome, Sirivennela.
Thank you, sir.
So, first, shed the light on your name. It looks name of a girl.
It is. To be honest, even I wasn't expecting. In fact, I wasn't born when I was named.
Uh-huh.
But there's a very interesting story about my name. My father, he's a writer, so he has this literary background.
Great.
So his first kid was a boy. That's my brother. He wanted his second kid to be a girl, but unfortunately, to his disappointment, I was born. But then he just went through with that flow. So he had already chosen this name as
The name was pre-decided.
Name was pre-decided because he was influenced by this movie called Sirivennela in Telugu.
Okay.
The lead actor for that is Suhasini.
Okay.
So maybe he must have been
Fan of
deeply
Suhasini also.
he must have been a fan of Suhasini.
Hmm.
So he had already decided that name.
Okay.
But fate had other plans.
So, what is the meaning of Sirivennela?
My name means moonlight. The actual breakup of my name is Siri and Vennela. Siri means prosperity. Vennela means moonlight.
Okay. So, when he came to know that like he was your boy, so he went ahead with the.
Yes.
So there was no opposition from like your mother
None. There was no opposition. Everybody was okay with that decision.
And then when you realized that your name is actually.
Initially,
Were
I
you
felt
happy
a
with
little
it?
bad,
Uh-huh.
especially during those school days. You know how kids are; they keep
Correct.
teasing
Correct. Yes.
So,
How did you deal with that?
I dealt with it like how I deal with all normal things. Okay, initially it was a bit disappointing for me, but then I realized the uniqueness of my name and I just owned it.
You are proud of it now.
I am proud of it now because not many people have this name. It is very unique.
Correct.
It is rare, so I stick out in the crowd.
Correct. Correct. So why are you on medical leave?
After my results, I went to Missouri for my foundation course. I'm an avid badminton player. I play very well. At least I think I play very well.
You told me that you were into sports since childhood.
I am into sports. I'm an avid sports person. I've been playing cricket all my life. But due to some unfortunate injury, even then, I couldn't.
So injury is your friend, like.
You can
Kind
say
of.
that.
Yes.
It is stopping me at different levels. But then I'm sticking to playing as a hobby. Although I haven't tried playing professionally, I've been playing it as a hobby. In Labasna, I was an avid badminton player. I used to play every day, almost after my classes. So one day, unfortunately, it was a semi-final game, which was being witnessed by around 200 people, including the director of the academy, his wife, and all the faculty members. So the josh was high. To be honest, when the crowd is cheering for you, you try to do something extra.
Correct.
So in one unfortunate moment, I tried to play an elaborate shot,
Okay.
which was not required in that moment. But then to please the crowd, sometimes we have to do some extra things.
So it was a
So in
singles
that
match.
moment,
Singles match.
it was a doubles game.
Doubles
It was a
game.
doubles game, a semi-final game. So in one split second, I twisted my knee. I fell on the ground. In that moment, I did not know that I had torn my ligament. But
Okay.
after the MRI scan the next day,
You went through operation and
yeah, the surgery was done after 2
how is
months.
it now?
It is good. I'm recovering well.
Okay. When will you be going back?
I'll be joining back in December. The exact date has not been communicated to me yet, so soon it will be communicated. The
Okay.
tentative date is December 15th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you get interested in sports? Like you said earlier when we were having conversation, you were selected for under 19 Karnataka cricket team
Yes.
also. Two questions: how you got interested in sports, and how is it helping you?
Two things. Firstly, my parents were very supportive for sports. After coming from school, they never told me to do your homework or study, sit and study, nothing. They used to just let me free. So that helped me be outdoors all the time. Although I never neglected my studies, outdoors was my friend. So I used to go outside, play with friends a lot. So that became a part of my personality. So that is how I picked up sports and I started playing. And secondly, how sports helps me is it helps me to keep fit, keep my body fit.
Mhm.
And the first prerequisite for a healthy mind is a healthy body. This is what I've been
Even
taught.
now, every day you are doing some
Yes.
exercise.
Yes. Every day I'm doing some exercise, physiotherapy for my leg, and general body exercises for my general fitness.
Okay.
So that is one thing. And the second thing is it helps you deal with failures.
How?
It does. Because when you fail, you know that there is always an opportunity to bounce back, and sports provides that opportunity. That is similar to life as well. You can extrapolate that to life.
Okay.
Even in my UPSC preparation, I failed the first 2 times. That didn't set me back at all. I was always hopeful that one day or the other I will get through this examination. So sports played a big role in that.
Okay. Were there any questions on sport in your interview, in UPSC interview?
There was. They asked me about cricket because I had mentioned cricket as a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. So, when did you decide that you wanted to become a civil servant?
People will laugh at this when I say this. This is an actual event. I was in my third standard when this event happened. I did not know what IAS meant or what IPS meant. My father was speaking to a colleague of his, and he used this terminology IAS a number of times. When you are 8 years old, you don't know what life is. You don't know what IAS
Correct.
is, what IPS is, nothing. But that word was held on to me. Then I asked my father, "What does IAS mean?" He said, "You grow up, you will know."
Okay.
So that word had a lot of impact on my psyche. So as I grew up maybe in my 10th standard or 11th standard, then I started researching a little about what IAS, what civil services is, and that is when I decided that I'll take up this examination.
So now you are not IAS, you are IPS.
Yes,
So
I'm even happier.
you
To be honest, I'm
So
even
why
happier
is that?
than- So one thing is I have a better understanding of my personality now, and since you already mentioned that I'm a sports person, I want to be outdoors all the time. Although being
Yeah.
IAS officer also
Gives that
gives you an
opportunity.
opportunity to be outdoors all the time, but nothing is comparable to IPS in that respect. And also that charm of uniform, that
Correct. Especially when you went to the training, I think
Yes.
this feeling might have been reinforced.
yes, definitely.
Okay. You are into IPS now. You are not writing exam
No.
again. Any pressure from home?
Not at all. In fact, when I was filling up the DAF, my father used to tell, "Do not put IPS as your first preference." Although I wanted it.
Okay.
Okay, because my mother was you know how mothers
Correct,
are. They're
correct.
very protective of their kids.
Correct.
So she knew, or she has this understanding that being an IPS officer has its risks. It comes with a baggage of risks, which I'm ready to accept
Okay.
and I'm ready to face. But my mother wasn't.
Did you convince them, or are they convinced by themselves?
They are convinced now because they have no other choice.
Okay.
Although my first preference was IAS, I did not get it. I'm very happy for
So you have made your passion very clear to
Yes.
them. Right.
and they've accepted it.
Okay. Do you have any other hobbies apart from sports?
I play video games, computer games,
Even now, every day?
even now every day.
Okay. So what kind of games you play?
I play a lot of first-person shooters like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty. If there are
Okay.
any gamers out there, I think they'll be better able to
So that
connect
was
with me.
before getting selected into IPS. Like,
That was since my school days.
oh,
Yeah. And this was my hobby as well, and I had mentioned this in my DAF.
okay.
Many people have this apprehension of giving true hobbies in their DAF.
Correct.
So this is one message for everybody: be truthful about your hobbies. You will excel in that.
Okay. Was there
If
any
any
question on
question
that?
is posed, yes, it was asked.
Uh,
They asked me, "You're a grown-up man. Why do you want to play video games?"
oh,
It was a straight shot question
yes,
for me.
yes.
I was able to manage that.
So their assumption is only kids play video
Yes,
games.
their assumption is that, but there are a lot of benefits playing games.
So what
like
was your
playing
answer?
sports. My answer was that it gives me an opportunity to do things which I cannot do outside.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I want to drive a car at 400 kilometers per hour. I can't do it on Indian roads.
Correct.
So I let out those feelings, all these aggressive
You want to
feelings
shoot
that
terrorist, which you cannot
yes,
do.
we cannot do outside, but I can do it in the video game. So
Correct.
it works as a kind of a catharsis.
Mm-hmm.
So to let out your emotions, feelings in a controlled manner.
Okay. So how was your life in Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel Academy?
I was only there for a week.
Oh,
Yeah. I
okay.
reported at Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel National
Uh-huh.
Police Academy. I got my relieving orders in a week,
Okay.
so I was back.
Okay. So when you go back December, you will be starting training
Yes,
again, or
I'll be starting my NPA training.
okay, okay. As a from the next batch onwards.
Yes, along with this batch.
Along with this,
Yeah.
the coming
The
out batch.
upcoming.
You were born and brought up in Bangalore.
I was born in a small village called Kestur, which is
Okay.
my mother's place in the district of Mandya.
Hmm.
My father's place is Tumkur. My father was a civil servant of the Karnataka cadre, so he used to move around a lot. So that did not give us an opportunity to settle down and study in one school. So we used to switch schools every 1 year or 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So after I came to 5th standard, there was some stability because my father, he said we'll settle down in Bangalore. And then he said he'll move around when there is a transfer. So
Okay.
that is when we settled down in Bangalore, and I continued my studies till my graduation in Bangalore.
So you have spent most of your life in Bangalore.
Yes.
And there is this notion that people who are brought up in cities like cosmopolitan cities like Bangalore, exposed to this urban culture throughout their life, they lack understanding of the rural dynamics, the rural culture. And now you are into IPS,
Yes.
and there will be rural postings also, postings into backward districts. Do you think you lack that understanding?
Certainly not. Although I did most of my education in Bangalore, I've always had this connection to my village. Every year, at least 6 to 7 times, I make it a point to visit my
To
village.
Kesturu.
To Kestur and Tumkur also,
Okay.
where my father's village is. It's Handrala. It's a very small village called
Okay.
Handrala. So I've been frequenting that village almost 7-8 times a year. So I'm always in constant touch with whatever is happening in my village. I am a little old-fashioned. I would consider myself as a villager in a urban attire.
Acha. Okay, okay.
So because of my food preferences, maybe I eat ragi mudde. If people from Karnataka, they can relate to this.
Correct,
very well.
correct. Yeah, even I like ragi mudde.
Yeah, that's
So
a very
at
healthy
least
food.
3 to 4 times in a week.
But urban people think that is not apt for their status.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
I mean, that is there. So it's drastically changing.
Yes,
I
it is.
see
The food
my
preferences are changing a lot.
correct, correct. So my child is like 4.5 years old. He goes to school. The kind of the parents, I mean, the way they complain for everything in WhatsApp. For example, if somebody had sent ragi mudde, somebody would complain, in the group. Why would anyone send ragi mudde to, school? So something like that.
That is how it is. What was not considered a good thing, it will come back again.
Okay.
So just for an example, 10-15 years ago, people used to use neem and charcoal to brush their teeth.
Yeah, right.
After that, there was nothing in toothpaste. Now, every toothpaste company is adding enriched with neem, enriched with salt, enriched with charcoal.
Correct.
So traditional knowledge and traditional cultural things, they always find a way back.
So what is your personal opinion? Is it desirable that all these cultural, traditional things should be revived, come back?
Definitely. There is always some essence in all these things.
Okay.
So it gives you a better perspective of who you are, what you are, where you have come from.
To understand our roots better.
It is absolutely necessary.
Earlier, Manasa ma'am, like who is our director course, she was narrating an incident. She said that when we were offering a free mains test series last year, and when you didn't know about it, but you came and she told you that for toppers it is free, and you didn't accept it. You paid the fees. You questioned her when I can afford, because you were already in service, defense account service. Why should I be paying? So that's a very kind of you, very ethical of you. Are you always like this, or?
Generally, I am like this.
Okay. So from where did you develop?
I cannot pinpoint anything particularly as to where I developed this. Maybe from a very young age, I've been seeing my father give a lot. He has never asked anything, but he's given a lot. Maybe that had a very important role on my personality development. So if I'm capable of affording something, I will definitely afford it.
Your father is your role model.
Yes, to an
Okay.
extent.
So what are the things that you have learned from your father?
One thing is patience. He's a very patient man. So
Okay.
whatever challenges he's facing, he always has a smile on his face.
Okay.
That is one thing I like the most about him, and that is what I've learned from him.
He's retired now or is still
He's
in
retired.
service?
He retired when I got into service.
Oh,
The
great.
year, the month, my result was out. He retired the very next month.
Okay. So which
So-
cadre you have got?
Punjab.
Punjab.
Yes.
Are you happy about it?
I'm very happy.
You're very happy.
Yes, I'm happy to.
It
serve
is going to be
India.
even more vibrant.
It is. It's a very culturally rich state.
Correct.
So a better experience, new experience from what I've already experienced. So I'm looking forward to that.
So working in any part of the country is not an issue
Yes,
with
not
you.
an issue at all.
Great. Okay. How is that? Like, you grew up in Karnataka,
Hmm.
and were you exposed to outside culture?
No, not really. I went to Delhi only for my interview. Until then,
Okay.
I was in Karnataka itself. But then again, sports had an important role to play. My family environment had an important role to play. They taught me to deal with any adversity the way you deal with normal things.
Okay.
So when you find something unexpected, or when you find yourself in some unexpected situation, there is nothing that you can do about it other than deal with it.
Correct.
Okay, there are so many other variables which is outside our control.
Any uncertainty, we just have to face it.
We just have
We
to face
go
it,
through the
yes.
experience.
There is nothing that anybody can do
Correct.
other than face it head on.
There are literally millions of aspirants, who are preparing for this examination, and they go through so many phases of depression, stress, anxiety, lots of pressures, expectations. What would you like to tell them, like how to deal with this preparation phase?
So one thing is, this preparation is very, very taxing. That I can tell, both physically and psychologically. There is no escaping from this. So everybody faces these
Correct.
difficulties during their preparation. But the difference between those who clear and those who don't is those who handle this better.
Correct.
Okay. So, and one more thing that all aspirants should remember is that there is a much better world out there. I wouldn't say that it is a better world, but there are so many other opportunities for you to explore. You can develop your hobbies, be better at that. There are so many more things to do. So never restrict yourself to civil services. It is only one of the vocations. It is only one of the career paths. There are numerous more. Maybe your services are better suited elsewhere than the service. So when you fail, don't be disheartened. Maybe maybe your greatness lies somewhere else.
Correct. So because you mentioned hobbies earlier, you also mentioned playing video games. How did you avoid or prevent yourself from getting addicted to playing video games? Are you addicted or
No, not at all. I play at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours every day. So I
Okay.
had this mental plan that I have to do everything that I like, but within this limit. So I always had.
how did
this
you bring
plan.
that discipline? It's very difficult.
It is difficult, but again, it's very difficult to pinpoint how I developed all these things.
Mhm.
Again, my father, my parents never told me not to play.
Okay.
So the general thing about kids is when they are told not to do something, they do that.
They do it.
So maybe that was their parenting style. They let me do and let me decide for myself what is good.
So it's
for
a
me,
very
what is bad
important
for me.
point, like
Yes.
giving you freedom
Yes.
without restricting you,
Yes.
restraining you
Mhm.
from doing something. I think we automatically develop that freedom. I
Yes.
mean, the discipline
Correct.
that is required, I think.
Yes.
Good. So I mean, every day I interact with students, and there are students who are addicted to Netflix.
Mhm.
Somebody recently told me that they got addicted to watching porn,
Mhm.
and then there are people addicted to the relationship issues and everything. For these people, what do you want to tell? Like, how can they bring discipline?
So addiction is a very dangerous thing. One thing, everybody knows that it is dangerous, but they still do it because of so many reasons. It is very difficult to pinpoint all of them or discuss all of them here. One thing is that know that your addictions will definitely harm you in the future. So this basic understanding and your knowledge of the vulnerabilities of yourself, of your personality, that is most important when you're dealing with these addictions.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they should be aware that
Yes.
they'll be paying huge.
There's a cost for everything.
Hmm.
So addictions has a very huge cost.
Correct.
Although it is difficult to come out of that, you always have to try, get some social support, talk to people, talk to friends. That is how you deal with addictions like this.
Okay. So now it is reality that you are an IPS officer.
Yes.
You are going back to training and you will be wearing uniform, and then you will be part of the forces. Then you will be serving the country. When you were an aspirant, when you were not an IAS and IPS, so what were the dreams that you had? We daydream, and now what are the dreams that you dream now? Like when this is the reality that you are an officer.
Okay. So before I got into the services, my dream was to get into the services.
Hmm.
So that dream is fulfilled. My next dream is how to make myself better, how to make myself more useful to the society. So that is my dream now.
Any example of dreams like you might have seen, like you visualized yourself.
Okay. Although most of us have seen a lot of movies,
Correct.
so
Singham.
Singham, for example.
Yeah.
All those things are dramatized.
Correct.
Things in reality will not be exactly that way. But there are so many things that I would want to do, and I've been dreaming about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have ambitions.
I have a lot of ambitions.
Good. So how was your experience in Defense Account Service? What did you learn from that service?
I served in the Indian Defense Account Service for about 4 years. So it was a very enriching experience, to be honest. In fact, it was what I expected. Although
Okay.
many people go with a lot of lofty ambitions and expectations, things may not be as we expect them to be. There are so many practical issues which you cannot do anything about. There are limitations, there are restrictions on your powers. Although, see, that one thing that everybody should understand is that they have to manage their expectations when they get into services. That is one thing. That is one thing I learned a lot from my last 4 years. There were some things that I learned. There were some things that I unlearned.
Okay. So what was the nature of job, Defense Account Service?
The defense forces, we are assisting them in maintaining their accounts, in auditing their bills, passing their bills, and giving financial concurrence to their proposals. Whatever they want to procure, they send across their proposals to us. We will scrutinize it financially, if it is viable or not, and then we pass the orders. Wings of the Indian government work in tandem.
Okay. So you might have closely seen senior officers in defense forces. Did you ever feel like donning that kind of uniform and
Not necessarily.
you never
No.
thought like that? You had control over finances.
Yes. Finances is most important.
Correct. So do you read any books?
No.
You
I
don't
watch
read.
a lot of movies though.
Okay. So what kind of movies?
I watch almost all kinds of movies, from biographies,
Okay.
war movies, comedies.
Did you watch this House of Dragon? The
House of
Game of
Dragon?
Thrones?
Game of Thrones I've seen. House of
Yeah.
Dragon is yet to come.
No, it has come already.
Okay. Maybe I'm not aware.
Yeah, I watched it last night.
Okay.
Yes, it's
The
very
House of-
good. You should watch.
Okay.
So the movies, the latest movie that you watched.
The latest movie that I watched was Bullet Train. I watched it in
Okay.
the theater.
So Bullet Train.
Yeah,
This is.
it's a Brad Pitt movie.
Acha, it's a new movie.
It's a new movie.
Oh.
You must watch it. It's very good.
Okay.
Very entertaining.
Acha. I'll definitely watch.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you so much, Sirivennela. It
Thank you,
was
sir.
really.
Thank you for having me here.
Yeah, it was really great having very interesting conversation, and I must appreciate your honesty and the way you are not hesitant about talking about the things. So it was great having you here.
It was great for me too, sir. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
So thank you all. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And again, in the next episode, we will bring another important guest. I believe that these episodes are helping you to relate with our guests and to be kind to yourself, to relate with the stories and to focus on your preparation or whatever goals you have in your life. Thank you so much. See you again.
Bye.